So first we can analyze the Sun in the 10th house and the Moon in the 4th house to find out about the relationship with our parents. And then we can analyze now the 12th house and Rahu and Ketu to get an idea about the deeper story of life that's been passed down from the parents. And this is a story of recurring themes of unresolved tragedies that span generations, right? And here the 12th house and Ketu, they deal with surrender and letting go of the karmic burden that we inherited. And Rahu points towards the new experiences and the need for a balance. And we can also analyze sadhan, because sadhan always plays, in a way, the most important role, as it is the foundation of the family narrative and its trauma. So now let's begin here with the 12th house, which represents, the hidden memories and the need for release. Any planets here, along with the houses, they reveal the areas of life where we are called to make peace and let go. In this case, the 12th house is empty. And so our attention turns to the 12th Lord. The 12th Lord is Jupiter and is placed here in the 5th house in Taurus. So right away, this shows that the parental story revolves around children and financial matters, right? The 5th house and Taurus. However, the 12th house connected to the 5th house creates parent-child tension, right? Because the 12th house represents the areas where we give more than we receive, right? Where the relationship feels one-sided and we need to let go. We need to develop an attitude of service and carry a weight that is not entirely ours. Now, Jupiter is also the karaka of children, and it is here in the 5th house of children. And this basically contributed to their parents insisting on getting a grandchild. Beyond that, there is an unspoken expectation that they will look after their parents when they're in the last stage of life. We can see here that Jupiter is also here the 12th Lord of nursing and hospice. And it's conjunct Saturn, who is the karaka of sickness and getting old and ultimately dying. However, Jupiter is conjunct Saturn, and this is what leads to the growing disappointment on the part of the parents, right? They start to realize as they get older that their hopes and expectations might go unfulfilled. It is very hard for them actually to make peace with their child's independent spirit and the grandchild that they may never be able to hold in their arms. Another tragedy that is a recurring theme in the ancestral lineage is Jupiter is here, the 12th Lord in Taurus. And what happened here is their father spoke frequently about how he was denied greater financial success as he couldn't attend the same prestigious universities as others. We can see here Jupiter is in Taurus, the sign of wealth and status, but gets separated here by Saturn. And so the financial limitations turned here into a lifelong burden and narrative of failure. So now let's analyze Rahu, which represents the new experiences that create balance with regards to the ancestral karma. And so Rahu is here in the 9th house of higher education and is placed in Virgo, the sign of business and wealth. And this really reveals the consequence of not having enough money that Their father couldn't attend university and become well educated, and then missed out on the opportunity to get a higher position in society and become really wealthy. And so the father, feels that he was at a big disadvantage that cost him the biggest achievement in his career. And finally, we come to Ketu. Ketu represents the ultimate purpose of our existence, to surrender and let go of the karmic baggage that we inherited from our parents. And for their parents, it is very hard to make peace with the past. Right? It seems like that the most important things in life have slipped through their fingers. We can see here that Ketu is conjunct the third house of communication, and also here Mercury of friendship. And over time, the communication between them and their parents has been maintained, but overall the relationship has become strained because of a different outlook and priorities in life. And their parents, of course, find this extremely difficult to accept. Ketu is in Pisces, which can indicate foreign lands. This becomes even a greater possibility here with Mercury, who is the ninth lord of foreign cultures and people, and who also rules here Rahu, that rules all things foreign. And so what happened is, eventually this person decided to leave their home country and their parents and settle down in a foreign country. And so we can see here that this is a huge karmic burden that the parents struggle to make peace with, and which has also passed down to this person here, and they also need to ultimately pass this test as well. And so by analyzing the D12, which means the relationship with our parents and the story that they passed on to us, we can more clearly understand our shared trauma. Often we do not want to acknowledge, because it's easier to blame other people in external situations. But if we want to evolve and live a more fulfilling and successful life, then we need to ask ourselves, could it be possible that I am wrong too? Am I failing in certain areas of my life because it's me that holds on to those old patterns that cause these same bad events to happen again and again? And so once we get to this point of humility and introspection, then we can start to loosen up, and the tightness around our chest starts to ease, and we understand that we don't have to be afraid and limited anymore. We can be free from the burdens and live a happy life. And this is exactly what makes every future generation have a better experience than the previous one. Children share the same burdens and sacrifices of their parents, but the difference is that they are willing to let go.